I don't know if I'm tired of my fiancé. Throw away account. Delete if needed. I've been with my fiancé for 5 years, and we recently got engaged. But now I'm going through it. We got engaged overseas, which was one of her dreams, and I wanted to make that a reality. We were there for a few months, checking different countries, and honestly at the time I thought we had a great time. But now I'm starting to remember that in every country, we would argue. She wanted to go to the clubs, which I have no problems with, but they aren't for me. If I would say no, she'd get upset until I either one. Went with her and tried my best to enjoy it too. Apologized to her for not going and trying to make her feel better. I would go get a drink and she would get upset I would talk to random people and trying to learn places where I could take photos. She would kind of write me off when she was with her friends that she made overseas, and would get mad when I didn't want to be a part of her crowd, but I would tell her to enjoy herself, but to come back in one piece. She would come back and complain about how annoying they are, how this place sucks. She is bored and go on and on about how pretty much that the entire time she wasn't doing anything fun. I got us a boat ride with some other people, and the captain would tell us, if we go under this bridge and you kiss someone, you'll be with them forever, which I thought was corny. So I blew a kiss to a friend of ours and then I gave her a kiss. Keep in mind we both think these types of things are silly and not true. But she got mad because we went over the bridge and the entire time turned away from me, didn't want to talk to me, and made me feel very uncomfortable cause the people on the boat would stare at us and asking if she was okay. I'd have to lie and tell them, oh, she's having a headache, or any excuse because I don't like talking about my issues publicly. Another incident was where I sprained my ankle while we were with a group of people, and I told her to give me a minute because my ankle is inflamed. Got upset that I was walking slow and left me behind so she could catch up with her friends. She gets upset with me when she comes home drunk and wants to make out in front of people. I'm very insecure about this and I don't like public affection at all. A kiss and hand holding is fine, but she would want to go full-blown tongue, which I've always told her I'd prefer to do that when not in front of our friends. When I would tell her I'm uncomfortable, she would get upset. But I'm not trying to say it's all her. I also have issues. I grew up in a non-love family. We don't say we love you to each other. More of a good job, and that's it. So for me it's hard to just go out and make out and touch her in a sexy way when there is people there. I also have issues with my attitude. I come off as curt or as if I don't really care, but that's just the way I present myself, and I've discussed with her about the way I was raised, and if there is an issue, I'll speak with her and get to a better solution. But this is now becoming an issue as well. A few weeks after we came back from our trip, she says she hates her life, that she is tired of being in the same place, haters her job and cries almost every week, which I try to be there for her, and I try telling her we'll figure it out, that we are on a plan to go to bigger and better things, just trying to be like a rock for her, like a foundation, if that makes sense. But she keeps comparing herself to her friends and saying stuff like, oh, my friend can go travel. He can go whenever he wants and I ruined my life. I should have gone to medical school. They get to do what I want to do, but I'm stuck here and miserable with my life. Which has gotten to a point where I'm also in this state of I feel like I'm in a dead-end place and I'm never getting out. I've been feeling mentally drained. I'm tired and sadly I've thought about death, which I haven't done in a long time. But the situation that made me feel this way was that she wanted to go to the library and I came back from the gym and I was very sore, but she wanted me to go and pushed until I said yes. When we get into the car, immediately she's telling me how I'm slow for going the speed limit, and when I turned into the wrong entrance, she gave me this look of, are you dumb? Which made me mad. So I dropped her off and I left to go get a smoothie for me and her because I wanted to blow off steam. She told me it would take about 10 to 20 minutes. So I thought, okay, cool. I'll have enough time to get the smoothies, cool down, pick her up and go home. Nope. I got there and she was calling me, saying I left her there and it was only 30 seconds. So I'm heading back, stuck in traffic, and she is waiting outside in the parking lot. I asked her why she didn't wait inside and she told that it was only for 10 seconds and she didn't think I was going to abandon her at the library. So I was upset because she told me differently, which I get. I still should have been more communicative about where I was going. But I did mention to her before that when I dropped her off, I was heading to her smoothies. We get home, and I proceed to go into my office to cool down. She came in very mad, going off on me, and then I snapped. I went off on her in my native language, which was my fault. I felt terrible. OFC, I apologized after. and said some stuff that I regret, mostly about how she loved to complain about everything in her life, that if I'm doing something slightly wrong, she would micromanage or talk down as if I'm stupid, and I was tired of it. So I then told her if she didn't want the smoothie, to throw it away, which she went silent and then threw the smoothie at me, while she was yelling at the top of her lungs how I was the same as her father and her ex, which are horrible people emo. So because of that, I went silent and cleaned the smoothie off my walls and off my computer. At this point, I didn't want to say anything just for the sake of I know this is gonna escalate further because I have an attitude when I'm upset, and I didn't want to make the issue worse than it already was. Now she was yelling at me that I'm now acting like the victim. I just didn't want to say anything at all, because from past arguments, if I open my mouth, there's just more fighting involved. So I told her I just don't want to talk anymore. 5 seconds after I feel a small thing hit on my back, and it was the engagement ring which I accidentally stepped on and bent, which made me feel even worse, and from then on my mind was done with the whole situation. So I left my office to went into the living room. I saw her grabbing my stuff to clean, like some clothing I was hanging, clothing on my walls, my hoodie and pants that were smuttied, and she was fixing the ring to put it back how it was, which luckily she did. After a few days, we apologized and told me she was bipolar, but never got it diagnosed by a doctor. We talked about it and how this is also affecting me mentally, how she comes to me with issues and I'll try to comfort, and sometimes I'll give like a pep talk, but the other way around, I tell her about my issues or about stuff that I'm struggling with stuff. I tell her I don't bother her with my issues cause she's always sad and upset. So then that makes me feel alone and also that I have no one to talk to. But I tell her these things and she gets upset, that she takes it her heart and feels that she is the problem, which then pushes me away from even speaking cause whatever I say causes her to become upset and somewhat distant. But then other times she'll tell me she'll do anything for me and that it will all be okay, and that she is sorry for always being gloomy, that we're in a bad place currently but she'll manage. And I want to believe her, but she's been saying since 2 years ago, and from that, she's now has a new job, still complains about it, made new friends, but says, ugh, talking to people is exhausting, but then gets upset with me, or generally, that she isn't going out and having fun. So I'm at this point, I'm just tired of it all. I'm trying to get back into school to make more money and leave the state we're in. But it's tough, man. My grandpa would always tell me that life is a flower, and how you nurture the soil, that's how your future will be. Right now, I feel my flower wilting and becoming weaker by the day. I don't know about love, but she is the first person to accept and love me for who I am. There has never been a moment where she has judged my taste in music, my hobbies, interests, anything. For me, she has been the most positive person in my life, but it can what her changed. All this time I've been thinking it's me, that I'm not putting in the work, that maybe because I'm more quiet and reserved I'm now showing her enough love. I don't want this relationship to end, because we've had very high highs, but this is the lowest we have ever been. I can't talk to anyone about this and I feel that screaming into the void will help.